Hey everybody, welcome to the GTM feedback loop strategic video. I don't really know what to call this, but this is going to be a more technical dive into how I approach go-to-market engineering or revenue operations or even both from a very high level and drilling down deeper into each processing layer as well as the enrichment layers. So if you're just tuning in or you're just genuinely curious on how somebody thinks about the whole feedback loop between sales teams, marketing teams, partnership teams, the general marketing landscape and sales, just keep watching. So basically what I'm showing you guys here is a macro point of view on how you can design a system from the holistic point of view to tackle the challenges that divide silo teams like marketing, sales, partnerships, revenue, stuff like this. So just from the top, take a look at the chart that's on the screen. I'm going to do my best to walk you through everything like very high level, but I want you to understand kind of there are different tools that we can use in 2025 and beyond to be able to tackle different parts of the pipeline or different parts of the funnel. So at the macro level, at the very high level, we have different parts of the pipeline. And this is exactly what I show people when I start to talk to people about their problems, when I start to talk to them about their nurture sequences and how GTM engineering or automated AI processes can help them get in front of more people that they want to talk to, basically, right? So let's start from the beginning. There are different types of tools, and it really doesn't matter what tool you guys use. If you know me, you know that I'm a partner of Clay.com, the best orchestration layer there is right now. And I also love HubSpot, right? But there are also a ton of other tools that are in my stack. So here we have kind of like Triggerify, LinkedIn Sales Nav, Ocean.io, Full Enrich, Find Email, Lead Magic, Prospeo, all of these different awesome tools. I'm not even mentioning tools like Fibbler, stuff like that, because there are tools popping up all over the market. So it's really important to understand that if you look at it from the high level point of view, you can pretty much use everything. But if you're doing something very specific, then you should use the specialized tool for it. So going back to the macro level at the very top of the hemisphere here, I want to walk you through how I would explain it to somebody that is super curious about going to market with AI processes. If you guys are still, or if you guys know people that are doing kind of like cold calling, ads, stuff like this is probably the best place to start. So starting from the very beginning, now that I've given you a long backstory, we're going to go down the pipeline management side. So if you're a business-to-business organization or a B2B business, more than likely you have a CRM. And on the right side of your screen, I'm just highlighting pipeline management. So I've named it pipeline management because technically you can be managing any different type of pipeline, right? Inside of your CRM, you're managing a lead pipeline, you're managing a partnership pipeline, maybe you're managing a revenue, like all of these different types of pipelines. But at the end of the day, there are three main processes that I've learned from the HubSpot world that have to go on inside of a CRM. We have to do lead management, which is here. We have to have engagement sequences. And then we also have to have conversion sequences. So realistically, the very first thing that you guys should be thinking about before you even go to market or you do expanded sales or expanded marketing, anything like this, is what are you going to do if your marketing team actually has extreme success, right? So that's one of my qualifying questions that I would go through with you, talking about kind of like what does your lead management system look like? What are your engagement sequences look like? And what do your conversion sequences look like? If you are confident in your sales team to actually close the calls, then you can move forward backwards down the funnel, right? So let's back up for a second and we want to go back to the initiatives. So let's work backwards. So let's say to get somebody interested to go down the funnel, book a meeting, sign up for a demo, whatever the conversion metric is going to be, we do need to go down to the initiatives. So this comes down to your marketing mix and your sales strategy and anybody that's setting the strategy for your organization. Usually it's your CGO, maybe it's a chief sales officer, CMO, whatever you're going to do, right? How can a GTM engineer like me or like a consultant come in and be able to say, hey, these are the initiatives where you might have more luck or more benefits, right? It's all the name of the game to try to squeeze the lemon as hard as possible and try to go where your audience is. So you will always go from pipeline management back to your initiatives and you will match your initiatives to your market, right? So I'm going to walk you through that. So in the traditional sales organization, at least like $10 million plus, like the people that I'm working with, you're doing manual outbound, you're doing automated outreach, you're doing referral partnership programs, you're going to network, you're getting ads, you're doing cold calling, you're doing organic, you're doing email, you're doing all of these different types of initiatives to lead into the pipeline, right? So we want to make sure that we set up the initiatives properly to be able to create the conversion. I'm sorry that I'm tripping over my words. I'm just trying to explain this. As far as getting the initiatives in place, we need to have a very, very thick and great qualification layer, right? So at the macro level, we want to even back up one more step, and we only want to feed those initiatives, whether that's going to be automated pipeline outreach with clay.com, referral programs, partnership engines, ads at Google ads, LinkedIn ads, whatever ads you're going to do, cold calling, organic advertising, organic like SEO, off-page PR, whatever those initiatives are going to be, they need to be lined up to your goals, and they need to be qualified. So anybody that you're going to be reaching out to, anybody that you're going to bother with a cold call, you need to make sure that you know your stuff and that you're only bothering them if you can actually truly help them, right? So the very first step that you should actually be tackling is your data qualification in your processing center. So this is where kind of we're sitting now. It's June in 2025, and we're sitting in a place where people are moving towards less spammy into more targeted outreach. So what I do is I set up primarily the data processing center and anything that touches it, right? Clay.com does a really, really good job about putting all of the data points in one space. In one tab, now you can go from having one cold call in HubSpot or in Salesforce to having automatic sales enabled pipeline generation or any call preparation done ahead of time in a data processing center. And you can have 50,000 rows of data or records of contacts and 70 data points each. So this is really, really great to be kind of pre-processed for the sales team ahead of all the initiatives, pre-computed, pre-enriched, everything like this, so that your sales team can spend more time on task. You guys are paying sales teams to get on calls and close deals. You are not paying sales team to do research. And if you guys are in sales, you guys would probably agree to that. You guys want to close the calls. You guys want the commission, right? So why would you not give up this job description to somebody that can do this at a fraction of the speed? So looking at the kind of like the basic feedback loop here, what we want to do and what any GTM engineer or go-to-market strategist should be focusing on is this specific box, the data processing engine. How can we pre-qualify using ICP matching and company level matching, as well as enriching both of those records, company and personal, and then computing whether or not those make sense to reach out to. So my favorite partner right now is Zach from Octave. Shout out to Zach. He's like awesome. Computing the prospect offer message fit now can do this at scale. One-to-one messaging at scale has always been the name of the game. When Apollo came out many, many years ago, you would do this too, using like spin tag sequences. Now there are so many signals in market. There's so much data in the market that you can start computing even more, right? So Octave does a really great job about kind of like just plug and play, kind of compute, look at my website, look at the prospect's website, matrix what's in between, write a custom message, prospect offer message fit, reach out to them only if it makes sense using their engines, or you can do this using a custom prompt solution, which I build as well. So if you just want to go, we want to do the data processing center. What is the difference between a good lead, a great lead, and a crap lead, basically, right? Because not all accounts and not all leads are made alike. So that's it from the top point of view. How does this all work in principle? On the left-hand side, we have external signals and market, meaning we have the target addressable market, which is a full list of companies that you can actually serve. So if you are an e-commerce based marketing agency and you're just talking to all e-commerce stores that are above $1 million in revenue, that would be part of your target addressable market. If you are an e-commerce like an agency that helps e-commerce stores above $1 million in revenue in the United States, and they have to be using, let's say, Shopify, right? That's going to be within your service addressable market. And what is your ICP? Okay, it's Shopify stores. It's going to be Shopify stores that are making $3 million in revenue a year with a CGO, like a chief growth officer or a retail product officer or something like this. That would be your ideal customer profile. The ideal customer profile would have multiple different types of persona. And then from there, you would be able to define that for every user, a different account, right? So CGO, chief growth officer, VP of marketing, director of marketing, VP of growth, whatever the ICP is going to be. It's very important to be able to map out the different types of markets and the very different types of way of getting in contact with them. all of this to be said, this is how I think of it. And I know that I'm explaining this just in a terrible way, but anyway, stay with me. Before we want to process any of the information now, using AI, like AI qualification formulas, or we just want to use formula fields, or we want to get the email address or the phone number or the LinkedIn address, the LinkedIn URL, whatever we want to get for the company and the contact, we have to understand why are we reaching out. What is the UVP? So what is the problem that we solve? What is the unique value proposition that I, Spencer, solve for you at the $10 million a year range, right? Like I designed this whole system, but what is the thing that you do for them? If you can't tell me what you do at the UVP level, you should not be doing anything with AI. You need to rework your business. Um, at the same time, once you define your UVP at startups, it's a little bit harder, but that's why dreams are born. We need to understand why would somebody go to market? What is the problem in the market that exists that you try to solve, right? So you define the problem and you define the solution, and then you look for the problem in the market using signals. So right now, the very basic signals are job posts. Let's say like Google is hiring a marketing product manager or something like that. Maybe that's a signal for you to go in and talk to their HR manager saying, hey, you actually built a product that solves this need. Or let's say somebody has a grammatical error on their website, engagement signal. Somebody comes to your website, you go scrape their website, and you say, oh, like they visited my website, they didn't fill out the form, but we want to contact them anyways because our B2B says like they're an ICP. Okay, let's do it. Let's go in and enrich them and qualify them. If it makes sense, let's reach out to them. So after you define the markets, you define the signals that you want to do, this is where we can go forward using clay.com or just an automatic enrichment engine. How the feedback loop actually works, this whole thing works in different stages. So once we map the UVP, you've got to give this to me. Anything in yellow is something that you've got to give me. You've got to give your marketer, your go-to-market strategist. So ideal customer profile, UVP, computation, what is the message fit, contacts, champions, stuff like this, right? You've got to give that to me. Anything that is pre-existing research, like case studies, supplementary data, known champions, case like anything like this that has come from conversions, we can start to data warehouse and we can start building a custom fine-tuned model for you, or I can start building it for you, that would be able to help you reach out better. So instead of getting 1% conversion, you might be able to get 2 or 3% conversion, right? Just from cold email or something like this. Long story short, at a macro level, how you would approach this at a strategic point of view is we would actually start with your conversions. So there's a ton of tools on the market that we can start to look at, like Ocean.io, Panda Match. It does really, really good job about looking at the companies that you actually are closed won. So looking at your past wins will tell you what clients you've actually won. Like, right? Like, why would we not do a retroactive analysis on what has worked for you well before? Right? Where's the company going in a strategic direction? Do you want to focus on, Google or Amazon that you guys closed last quarter? Or do you guys want to do a shift in targeting to go to, I don't know, Target or something like that, right? What are the nuanced differences between the conversions that we can go and retarget? So we want to start from the beginning. And this is why I say, it's June, it's 2025 in June. I'm rambling on for a ton of time, but if you guys have past conversions or sales, if you guys have really, really good converting data inside of your head, you look at an account inside of HubSpot or in sales and you say, that is going to stick. Like that, I know I can close, or oof, that's going to be a little bit tougher to close. Why? Why is it going to be tougher to close? And why do you feel that way? Because you, as an organization, want to focus on what is going to be good to close and what is going to be easy to close, because clearly, if you look up pattern recognition, 80% of the time that you're going to spend is going to be spent on converting the 20% of revenue, or 20% of the revenue that you have in is going to take up 80% of the time. And the 80% of the revenue that you actually come in from the revenue, like with revenue operations and the dashboards and everything, that's most likely going to come from spending at the 20% of the accounts that you're going to touch. So the big whales are going to come in. You're going to spend a ton of time trying to convert tier 1 and tier 2 clients. And then that's going to lead to 80% of your revenue, or 20% of your revenue. So long story short, you want to take away the tasks from sales and marketing, put it in an automatic processing layer using the data processing center here. And then you want to just kind of have a feedback loop going. So let's say conversion sequences at 90 days, right? how do we actually start to convert people that are, past due? Like let's say sales didn't convert in 90 days after somebody booked a meeting, they skipped the meeting. What do? You actually have to go back and have segmentation and sequencing, conversion sequencing or engagement sequences with dynamic content or as newsletters, try to get them to convert, get that demo, get that meeting, whatever it is. You need to be able to resequence them. You need to have a feedback loop from sales to marketing all the time. And I think this is where a lot of people fail. A lot of teams fail because marketing sales don't talk to each other. And I'm not really sure why they don't talk to each other, because, like sales, this is how they talk to each other. Sales says to marketing, there's not enough leads. Marketing says to sales, I gave you leads. Like, what is wrong with them? Why didn't you close them? And then everybody gets pissed off at each other, and then revenue department complains, right? So sales and marketing team need to actually hold hands. And I think modern GTM, like modern feedback loop in the go-to-market hemisphere, actually brings these two teams together and links it with revenue team. So I know I'm rambling. From a very macro point of view, how it works: you start with the conversions, you track backwards into your pipeline, you see who's in the pipeline, who is going to be most likely to convert. You backtrack even more to see, okay, what initiatives worked out? Okay, let's try to figure out if we can automate any of that with automated outbound. Let's see if we can get people to who clicked on our ads and didn't convert to actually book. Let's send them meetings. And then let's back up one more set to say, who of those people did we actually target were actually qualified to be targeted, right? So realistically, the number one thing that you can do right now is to build a qualification engine. What is a tier one? What is a tier two? What is a tier three and a tier four? And then what is kind of like tier five and beyond? And kind of how do you weight those different criteria against each other so that you can then focus your sales and marketing efforts to generate more revenue? And I think that's the hardest part. So it's been 15 minutes later. Thank you for staying with me on this. This is a macro level view of how I would approach and how I would explain a GTM feedback loop using sales and marketing. And then also, so that you can take a screenshot of this later, here's my go-to-market tool list as of 2025. There's a few other ones up my sleeve. I actually don't have sleeves today, but Swarm, honorable mentions, Octave from Zach. He's an awesome guy, really great to work with. He does one-to-one messaging at scale. Fibbler, awesome tool that helps you guys actually take the engagement signals from LinkedIn and turn them into kind of like automatic sequences. So let's say you're doing ABM marketing, you would run your LinkedIn ads. Fibbler would pick that up, pull everything into HubSpot, and then you would actually even be able to sequence using the webhook in Clay. Fibbler, Octave, honorable mentions. Also, another honorable mention would be HubSpot. I'm a HubSpot guy. And then the fourth one would be the Swarm by Olivier. So if you guys are looking at any of these, you can explore any platforms, take a screenshot of this GTM tool stack list, and then text me anytime that you need help setting up your feedback loop, or if you just want to listen to me ramble anytime anymore. I'm Spencer. Thank you for coming. And yeah, thank you.